Okay, welcome to Spitbucket. This week we have one of the grand old men of Australian wine, David Ridge. David, you're basically...
Just well preserved.
Well preserved, right, yes. You're not looking at this morning, he's been out jogging. You're basically an imported expert, would that be a way of putting it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's honest.
With numerous different interests, as it were?
Yeah, I look after about 60 odd producers from Italy, France, Austria, Spain, Portugal, and have them brought into Australia and shepherd them through to people to enjoy.
Which is basically a way of getting tax-free holidays around Europe. No. Not at all. Not in case the ATO is watching, he works very hard. Okay, what we've got today, Austria.
Yeah, Gruner Veltliner to be precise.
And that's one of the new hot varieties?
Yeah, Australians would be inclined to call it Gruner Veltliner, but Prue Henschke absolutely insists, you know how correct she is.
And no one argues with Prue?
Veltliner.
Okay.
It's Austria's...
Are they growing any?
Native. No, not yet.
Okay.
No, there's a little bit in Australia.
There's a few here and there, but you're not seeing much. Who's got it?
Harndorf Hill
yeah.
in the Adelaide Hills, the edge of the Adelaide Hills. Good question. There's a bit planted in Marlborough. Yalumba, for example, have actually grafted Sauvignon Blanc, Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc to Gruner Veltliner. I think they, like a lot of other people, know that this is...
So they're grafting the Gruner onto the Sauvignon.
Yeah. So
if there's less Sauvignon Blanc in the world, that's a good thing. Now, sorry, I shouldn't say that. We've got... You've got two for it. Well, one of the interesting things about it, or two of the interesting things, first of all, we've got screw caps on a European wine, which is... It's the thin end of the wedge, we hope.
Yeah, the Austrians were actually amongst the first in to really embrace it. You know, at the opposite end, the Italians just won't do it, hardly at all. The Austrians, most of the producers to even the highest level wines, I mean, there are no $500 a bottle Gruner Veltliners or Rieslings, but in Austria, but they seem to have embraced it.
Now, what's also interesting is we've got two examples, dry and sweet. It makes both styles.
Yeah. It's a really unique variety. Well, not unique. It's a lovely variety that can make a Riesling style crisp dry white with just the right amount of aromaticity and zap. And then it also, if you leave the grapes to hang and develop their sugars later in harvest, they'll develop wonderful sweet wines that also keep that acid.
Okay. So to sum up, it's a unique variety like Riesling.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry.
That's right.
Well, what is awesome, this is actually an ice wine.
Yeah.
Spelled Eiswein, but I mean we call them ice wines as in normal ice wines. Do you want to explain that?
Yeah, basically, for the Germans and the Austrians, you can make ice wine in Australia.
Yep.
Basically, you can take the grapes off when they're quite ripe and you freeze them, and once you can separate the juice and the ice, if you like, you get a really concentrated juice. This happens naturally in Germany and Austria because as vintage is coming to an end, the winter's coming. So
it's basically where they've left grapes on the vines to get the extra build-up of sugars, and if they leave them long enough and they get the really, really freezing cold nights, the grapes actually freeze.
That's right.
So they have to go out in the middle of the night in about minus whatever, pick these things. That must be fun.
Sort of thing you do every day.
Yeah, right. And then when they crush them, because the ice actually takes a lot of the moisture out, it actually concentrates the sweetness. So I'm expecting that to be a fairly intensely sweet wine. Yeah,
it's a bit like when you cordial. You put your cordial bottle in the freezer and it freezes up. When it separates, there's still ice and really concentrated cordial.
Really?
Didn't you have a childhood? Yeah. Aha! It's all explained. It all comes back to me.
Red cordial would explain a lot about you. But before we get onto the ice wine, we better have a look at the normal old. Now they call it Garthing.
Garthing is
that a vineyard?
It's not its single vineyard. It's basically part of a larger piece of vineyard to the west of Vienna,
right,
in a region called Kremstal. And it's a piece of vineyard of the vines that are usually the youngest. So they would say vines planted at about 10 or 15 years are about the time when they start to become productive.
Okay.
So that's all Garthing means.
Okay, all right. And this is an 09. ballpark recommended retail for these two?
About $27 for the Gruner Veltliner dry.
Yep.
And about $38 for the sweeter wine.
Okay, that's recommended retail.
That's right.
Okay, terrific. All right. Shall we have a look at...
Well, we can smell it and taste it, in fact.
That's sort of got almost an oily, floral sort of character.
Straight away, it's that floral thing, isn't it? I think the reason these have caught on is because they're aromatic, but not really strongly so.
No,
I think
not in your face, monster, one-dimensional things.
that's one of the reasons I think some of the varieties, you know, Viognier and Gewürztraminer, they've got to be really well made, fabulous wines, but a lot of them are just obvious and fat, I suppose. This thing has its gentle, you know, melons and flowers, and apparently, I can't see it, but a unique character of white pepper. Can you smell white pepper in there? Not sneezing.
No, I'm not seeing a lot of white pepper, I've got to be honest. But it's got a really enjoyable sort of texture as well. There's a almost sort of supple and good acidity. That's noticeable.
Quite strong acidity. This particular maker is really renowned in Austria because he gets this really glorious, juicy fruit, but at quite low alcohols.
Okay.
And it's
That's
really
11%.
quite zappy, 11%, and that's almost standard for him. Quite low, not as low as the Germans, but that means that acid's always kicking in.
And it just hangs around, doesn't it? It persists and persists and persists. What about aging them? Do you see them as drink now or put
I've
them away?
seen some older ones. Martin Nigl, if you go there, he's really keen to show other people's wines just as
So
much.
this is pronounced Nigl, not Nigel?
Nigl, yeah.
In Australia, it's
we're
gonna be
always
Nigel.
making plans for Nigl, yeah. He's shown me older ones. You probably, I think your question is not loaded. You understand?
Yeah.
I don't see huge future for the variety as a cellarer. It's probably a 5-year window to maintain its real zing.
So about 4.5 years more than a Sauv Blanc.
Yes, most Sauv Blanc. But the first 2 or 3 years, they really are. They really retain this zing and freshness.
Don't they ever? That's got it's got a bit of punch towards the end of it as well. We have a look at the little sweetie. Now this one, it's 12.5%, so it's a little bit more than the Gartling.
And that's basically because it's got more fermentation to do. There's more sugar, more sugar for the fermentation to eat.
What do you know the sweetness levels on this?
No, I don't actually. No, not. I should have checked that.
That's all right. I'm
Naughty
glad
boy.
that I asked.
Yes. We'll swap embarrassing questions. So it really, that green melon character comes through.
There's a bit of that sort of botrytis character in that. You're getting a little bit. Just a.
I think it's
stone
the
fruit?
sweetness more than the. It's probably peach, you know, of
stone
ripe
fruit,
Riesling
yeah, fair
type
enough.
thing that you get, rather than botrytis per se. I don't think they get much botrytis where they are.
Okay.
Although the river's only a few hundred metres away, but anyway.
There's plenty of sweetness, isn't it?
Plenty.
That's got to be sort of beer and house lace level, I would think.
Yeah.
If you're talking
Yeah.
German.
And it's the beauty of these things are that you could go for a second glass if
Oh,
that's
yeah.
your bag, because that acidity cleans it all out, and that's
It maintains. It's still like the dry. It's got the acidity.
it's what a lot of wines in Australia
Lots of
didn't
stone
get for a
fruit.
long time, and
Yeah.
people aren't drinking, but they're starting to make them with more zap and savoury now, I think. Yeah. The variety, Ken, it's interesting. One of the distributors, the distributor for this, said 3 or 4 years ago, we need a Gruner Veltliner. He'd just been to New York. Every waiter in New York had said, you've got to try this Gruner Veltliner. And I said, no, you leave the choices to me. You know, I'm the expert. I know what's coming next. Sure enough, he nailed it. This is a phenomenal growth in particularly the States and Europe. Yeah, and we do very, very
And you
well
are
with
not a
it here in
trendy
Australia.
sommelier unless you've got a Gruner Veltliner.
Exactly.
Or a
yeah,
couple.
Yeah, couple.
Righto. Now, to wind up on Gruner.
Food.
Food.
Yeah. It's dare I start by saying it's an all-rounder?
Well, I mean,
It's
you've
an
got two
acknowledged
completely
all-rounder.
different styles,
Yeah.
so you're obviously, I mean, that's just the obvious sweet, a bit of cheese or something as
Yeah,
well,
a bit
or
of cheese.
desserts.
They certainly. You said stone fruit. So anything of the cooked apricot, peach desserts, that sort of thing. You know, even fresh fruit, melon, that sort of thing. So that's fine. As they age, they pick up a toffee thing, so they could go with cooked, you know, caramelly type things.
Yep.
But the dry wines are really quite adaptable. There's a lot, you know, a lot of things. Anything that's white or green, the dish, it'll go with. You know, so it'd do an Italian salad. It would do a green curry, for example. No problems
Okay,
at all.
yeah, that's
Piece
a
of
good thought.
cheese, sashimi, sushi. It really is genuinely adaptable, and that's why the sommelier can safely, you know, put that onto a table where 4 people are having 4
and
different
look as
things.
though he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
As
It
they
really
all do.
does it well. That acid just zings and cleans everything out.
Fantastic. Rating, I mean, that for me, I'm thinking that's sitting around about 91, that's maybe 92.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's
on-
been rated, you know, above 90 pretty steadily.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is another good vintage for these cats.
That
and
was
for
the
Central
07, that's
Austria.
the 09, and that was the 07. Austrian wines. Let us know what you think. Have you tried them before? Have you tried the Gruner Veltliner? Have you tried a local one? Have you, or an Austrian one? How do they compare? Are they value, not value? What do you think will happen? Are they the next big thing? Will they knock Sauv Blanc off the perch? I'd like to thank our grand old man, David Ridge. We'll no doubt see you again.
My pleasure.
And we just say hi to the Palette of the People who's not with us today, because that's Rob, of course. He is up in Queensland. We're down here in glorious Sydney. He's up in Queensland where we have the Noah's Ark floods taking place again, and he's gone camping. So he's sitting on the side of a lake somewhere with a cigar and a fishing rod trying to catch a bass. And, well, he must be absolutely soaked. That's a shame. Anyway, let us know what you think. And just remember, here at Spit Bucket, we spit so you don't have to. We'll see you next time. Cheers.